Hello, this is Roine Stolt from the Flower Kings, and you know what? We have a new album out. It's called Banks of Eden. Go listen now. The reason we stopped was that we've been doing it for so long, and then it came to a point where I could sense it coming, like something that felt like we were just going on and doing it without knowing why. Really, it was more like on autopilot. You know? Everyone was asleep, you know, but we were still making albums. So, and I think it's better to stop before, because I could sense it, you know, and before the fans realize this is what's happening there, they just keep on making album because, you know, that's what they do, or they want to make money. So I think it was the right time to just stop and reflect and see why and when and everything. So we stopped without saying, we didn't actually, I don't think we said for how long really. We just said, let's stop and then see how it feels. And for me personally, it felt like, I think the first 2 years, if someone mentioned, because when I was doing interviews for Agents of Mercy, for example, you always get the question, you know, what about Flower Kings? What are you going to do? Or why did you stop, or something like that? And every time someone mentioned something about the Flower Kings, I got this, I don't know.
Don't mention Flower Kings.
But after time, I could relax and have a more neutral, relaxed feeling about it. And then we started working on what became the Tour Kaput DVD. That was a recording we did in Holland. Shortly after that, I think we started talking about recording a new album. We never sat down and made big plans, really. We just said, let's make an album, and then we looked at what do we have. And we had some music, definitely, but I think I wrote, all the opening song of this new album is 25 or 26 minutes. That's something I wrote specifically for the album. So that's probably shaped by what I felt should be on a new album, you know, to excite, hopefully with a few different things and a few familiar things. And in the end, you sometimes get surprised because you work hard on an album, you do things, you do songs, and sometimes people get really excited about it and you're not even happy with the album, but people get extremely excited about it, and sometimes you're extremely excited about it yourself, and people seems like, I wasn't the best Flower Kings album, and you don't understand anything, you know. It's like, maybe you do after 5 or 10 years, but it just goes to show that you can never predict what's going to be the outcome in the end. It seems like whatever you think is going to be, it's not going to be. So for this new album, I think we just said, okay, let's try to record some new music, and if it's a flop, it's not the end of the world. You know, what can we do? We can try to do our best. And if we're lucky, people are gonna like it. That's about it, you know. I think probably this is the first Flower Kings album that has a few positive things, but I think most of the lyrics are a little bit darker than. You have songs like, the first track is not exactly positive, it's kind of dark and a little bit disturbing. It's talking about death, and it's talking about corruption and stuff like that, and you have songs like Pandemonium, and Pandemonium is said to be the capital city of hell. And so it's not exactly positive. It depends on who you are. If you're a death metal guy, maybe Pandemonium is great. It's all dandy, you know. Yeah, let's party in Pandemonium. And then you have For Those About to Drown, and that's basically talking about people or someone who is sort of stuck in a situation where they can't get out. And it could be like in a marriage, it could be like in a band like the Flower Kings or any other band, Metallica maybe. It could be your daytime job. You have your daytime job and you're making a decent living out of it, but you hate your job. But this song is talking about like the king and queen. It's like a really cold relationship, you know, and the king is expecting the queen to behave in a certain manner, to be, you know, to keep a straight face because they're king and queen, and the country is watching them, you know, and they're expected to be something, but behind the walls of this castle is like it's just dead and it's just cold, you know. And you're put there as a king and a queen, and you simply can't get out of it, because that's fate. That's the cards that life dealt you, you know. This is what you gotta do, and so that's not positive either. And we have the closing song, that's Rising the... Well, that's the ending. It's a little bit positive, I think. Rising the Imperial. Well, that's partly positive, I would say. Yeah, that's more of a regular Flower Kings song, or Flower Kings lyric. He actually came with a recommendation from one of Jonas' friends, I think. I think Jonas was at a birthday party or something, lots of musicians, you know, and they started talking about Flower Kings, and they came talking about the situation. I said, we don't know about drummers, really. We're sort of, it's up in the air and we don't know, really. And someone said, you've got to check out this German drummer, he's from Berlin and he's really good. And I think at that point, I think Jonas already had started to negotiating with, I think with Marco Minnemann. But Marco was at that point, he was playing shows with Steven Wilson, and I read somewhere that the Steven Wilson shows went pretty well, so they were probably going to make more shows in the springtime, and they're going to continue the tour. And I had a sort of a bad feeling, because Marco said, oh, I want to do it, I want to do it. But it seemed like taking a risk, because we need to sort of commit to a certain period of time for doing the basic tracks. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we found Felix, and he's a great drummer, and he's from Berlin, and he's 26, and he's a professional guy playing studios and playing anything from hip-hop to pop and jazz and fusion. And we just thought he was a great guy, and we took a chance, and it worked out. Well, we're touring in September, that's all I know, and we're playing most of September, and then take a break for a week or 10 days, and then we're gonna continue with more shows. And we're gonna play, I suppose, as long as someone wants us to play. And, you know, negotiating with places like Israel, and places we've never been before, you know, and maybe going back to Japan, and that was more than 10 years ago, so. I'm liars, the stupid bird.